Chapter 46, Easy Glory. Chen Guo didn't know how many times she had fell asleep on the sofa while watching TV. She'd usually wake up from the cold and then slowly crawl to bed. When she woke up today, she found that there was a blanket warmly wrapped around her. The blanket felt very familiar too. It had to be hers, so the half-awake Chen Guo thought she was sleeping on a bed. She comfortably wrapped the blanket around herself and flipped her body. With a bang, she fell off from the sofa. Chen Guo still held onto the blanket. It took a long while for her to recover from the daze. Only then did she realize that she fell from the sofa. The sofa wasn't tall. Falling down wouldn't do anything, it was funny though. Chen Guo carried the blanket and climbed up. Seeing that the small storage room's door was closed, she knew that this was all done by the newcomer Yi Shu. After putting back the blanket, she rinsed her mouth and washed her face in the bathroom. Someone rang the doorbell. Holding a toothbrush in her mouth, Chen Guo went to open the door. She saw a girl, carrying all sorts of bags, smiling at her. "Oh, little Tang, you've come back." Chen Guo bit the toothbrush and said with a mouthful of foam. "Yeah, how'd you just get up?" Tang Ru, who was carrying bags of all sizes, found it inconvenient to take the keys out, so she rang the doorbell. As a result, she found Chen Guo with this appearance. "I slept late yesterday." Chen Guo, with a mouthful of foam, still insisted on chatting. "Why don't you first finish brushing your teeth?" After Tang Ru entered the room, she put her stuff down wherever it was convenient, while Chen Guo continued forward to the bathroom. "I heard that you've found a new employee." While Chen Guo brushed her teeth, Tang Ru reclined outside the door and asked with her head tilted, looking at the closed storage room. "Yup. Did they tell you?" "Yeah. There's no vacant spot for him to live, so I've let him sleep there temporarily," Chen Guo said. "I heard he had only come for a day and had already made you terribly angry." Tang Ru clearly heard quite a bit of news downstairs. Chen Guo was speechless. It was terrible. Yesterday night, she wanted to strangle that guy to death. On one side, this person made her angry, but on the other side, he put a blanket over her. Good things, bad things, he did them all. "What's wrong?" Tang Ru saw that Chen Guo's mind was wandering and that she hadn't said a word. "Nothing. He's really good at glory," Chen Guo said. "How good?" "Like you," Tang Ru laughed. "You're dead, girl." Chen Guo rolled her eyes. Mentioning this made her very depressed. Originally, Tang Ru didn't play glory. Chen Guo tried to teach the game to her so that they could play together. While peeking in the arena with her Chasing Haze account, she explained all of Glory's charm to her. Because Chen Guo was doing two things at once, she had been beaten quite miserably by her opponent. But Tang Ru immediately expressed a "let me try," which made Chen Guo feel extremely gratified. In the first round, Tang Ru was also beaten quite miserably. She then asked Chen Guo about a few particulars on how to perform a few actions. In the second round, she still lost. As a result, Chen Guo took the initiative and explained to her a few tactics that the opponent might use. Finally, in the third round, Tang Ru reversed the situation and beat her opponent miserably. "This is so easy." Tang Ru turned her head and spoke towards Chen Guo. Her previous extremely interested look had already disappeared. Chen Guo looked dumbstruck. A completely new player used only 2 rounds to get familiar with the controls. After understanding a tactic, she could already beat others. Chen Guo didn't know how good the opponent's skill was. She immediately borrowed an account, with the same class as the opponent that Tang Ru fought against from one of the internet cafe guests. Although Chen Guo played launcher, she knew a little bit about the other classes. She was at least better than a person who had only touched glory for 3 rounds, plus her skilled technique. In the end, she actually lost to Tang Ru. Chen Guo didn't want to believe it. Tang Ru, who didn't want to keep playing, was forced to fight another round with her. Although Chen Guo sometimes barely won a few times, she lost more than she won. Clearly, Tang Ru was getting more and more skilled. And now Chen Guo discovered why Tang Ru could, inconceivably, beat her. Hand speed. This girl was born with astonishing hand speed. At that time, Chen Guo had played glory for 3 years, and thought that she was just a bit off from being an expert. Yet Chen Guo could only be endlessly ashamed. Talent. This was talent. If someone with talent didn't play glory, it would truly be a waste. Chen Guo began trying even harder to drag Tang Ru into playing Glory. But in the end, she failed. Chen Guo delightedly explained the charm of Glory's mainland. Time and time again, all Chen Guo saw was Tang Ru incessantly yawning, as if she were about to fall asleep. Chen Guo tried hard for a full 2 months without any results. Finally, an event happened that made her thoroughly despair. Heavenly Domain Challenge Quests. To enter the Heavenly Domain, players had to complete a series of quests. Among those were a few normal monster-slaying quests, a few boss-killing quests, a few look for materials quests, and a few arena PK victory quests. But the quest that made players' heads hurt the most was still the skill challenge. The skill challenge didn't only require that the player beat the opponent. It also required that the player performed actions at a certain level set by the system. For example, a certain number of combos, total damage done by a back attack, the number of air juggling that had to be done, etc. Many players were stuck here and couldn't pass no matter what. Chen Guo was one of them. She was firmly stuck there in the skill challenge and couldn't reach the requirements no matter what. In the end, Tang Ru took her account card. After researching for a few days, she helped her finish the Heavenly Domain skill challenge. Chen Guo was thoroughly speechless. She finally understood why Tang Ru couldn't find any interest in the game no matter how hard she tried. This was because most players had to try hard to win. She could do things that needed hard work and practice with no difficulty at all. Glory was named Glory because they hoped that players would consider equipment, skills, and every record as glory. And players approved because these things truly were difficult to get and required hard work to obtain. But for Tang Ru, she cleared the skill challenge, which many players were firmly stuck on, in just a few days. How could that produce any feeling of glory? No one would consider the task of holding a glass of water and drinking it as glory. Chen Guo despaired, but didn't want to give up. In these 2 years, whenever she met a powerful opponent, she would drag Tang Ru to try. In the end, Tang Ru again and again turned her head and asked, "It was that easy?" If she kept doing this, then Chen Guo's face wouldn't be able to stay on anymore. The other side would just turn her head towards opponents that Chen Guo couldn't beat and say, "That was easy." Quote, this made it difficult for her to endure. As a result, in the recent few months, Chen Guo no longer did this often. But this time, after mentioning Yi Shu, Chen Guo's sealed thoughts once again reignited. She suddenly wiped her mouth and threw her towel down. With her messy hair, she was about to smash at Yi Shu's door. "I'm going to call him for you to try out." Quote. It's fine. Tang Ru immediately pulled at Chen Guo. "Didn't he just get off the night shift and go to sleep? Let's wait until he gets up, okay?" "Oh, that's fine too." Chen Guo thought for a bit and temporarily dropped the matter. She grabbed her towel and was about to go wash, when she suddenly thought of something. "Right, his hands were like yours, very pretty." Chapter 47, I'm playing on Specialized. "Help me fold the blanket. I brought you breakfast." When Yi Shu got up and washed his face, he saw this sticky note. After tidying the room, he went to the living room table and looked. He was speechless and choked with sobs. It was 3 o'clock. Who on earth would drink soy milk and eat yudiao at this time? They were cold too. TL note, yudiao are like deep-fried strips of dough. The texture's like a donut, but they're usually salty rather than sweet. But saying it like this meant that the boss specially left it there and deserved to be given face. Yi Shu took a yudiao and put it in his mouth. After holding it in his mouth, he left the room. Glory's new server continued to bring popularity to the internet cafe. However, the Happy Cafe was big enough and there was rarely a time when all of the seats were filled. Yi Shu turned around and looked for an open spot in the smoking area. But when he felt his pockets, he discovered that his cigarette box was empty. This was much more painful than eating cold yudiao. The even more painful part was that he had no money either. How was he going to pass the day? Yi Shu felt that he should ask the boss for his pay in advance. Although food and shelter were covered, he ate very little. Every day he only had 2 meals. Besides this, he didn't know if he saved enough money to smoke. However, thinking of Chen Guo's hate for smoking, Yi Shu felt he'd have a hard time making this a reality. While he let his imagination run wild, someone patted his back. He immediately turned his head. Chen Guo was the one who patted Yi Shu. With a turn of his head, the Yudiao in his mouth almost slapped Chen Guo's face. Chen Guo, with her temper, immediately began scolding, "You hold cigarettes in your mouth. You hold Yudiao in your mouth. What can't you hold in your mouth? Can you not use your hands?" Thinking of hands, Chen Guo once again recalled how pretty Yi Shu's hands were. For those hands to be blackened by smoke or oiled by the Yudiao, that'd be a pity. Could it be that holding cigarettes and Yudiao in the mouth is proper? F***ck, this is making my head hurt. Chen Guo shook her head and glared at Yi Shu. "Come with me." Yi Shu followed Chen Guo to the reception desk. Tang Ru was currently sitting there. When she saw Chen Guo bringing Yi Shu, she stood up and smiled. Tang Ru, Yi Shu, Chen Guo introduced the two. "Hi." Tang Ru extended out her hands. Chen Guo looked at these hands and felt envious of them. Yi Shu's hands truly were pretty, but they were after all male hands. If those were a girl's hands, they'd be a bit too big. Tang Ru's hands were true girl hands. Any adjective used, fine jade, slender, soft, nimble, etc., anything that could describe Tang Ru's hands wouldn't be excessive. Hi. When Yi Shu said this, the Yudiao was stuffed into his mouth and he was chewing violently, so the pronunciation wasn't clear. Seeing Tang Ru extended her hands out, he immediately did the same. The two shook hands. Tang Ru also paid attention to Yi Shu's hands and did it while keeping proper manners. While they shook hands, she quickly glanced at it. Afterwards, her gaze continued to look politely towards Yi Shu's eyes. After a casual shake, they pulled back their hands. Yi Shu didn't look any different on the outside, but he was pretty astonished on the inside. This was because he didn't think that this girl, Tang Ru, would be like this. Her appearance and figure were all outstanding. But the part that made her feel out of the ordinary was the aura that she exuded. Form, appearance, clothes, there was no part of her that made people feel uncomfortable. No matter what angle she was looked at, she was an immortal beauty from the legends. The only different part was her short hair. At first, it looked a bit weird, but after seeing it a couple times, this type of short hair only made her look more fresh and pretty. But Yi Shu's astonishment wasn't about this. He was astonished because why would such an outstanding girl be willing to work part-time at an internet cafe for 2 years? No matter how big Happy Internet Cafe was, the only one who would become rich was Chen Guo. As for regular employees, the salary here wasn't bad, but it wasn't any type of work with future prospects. Network manager, cashier, what youth would pursue this type of job all their life? These were only temporary jobs so that they could eat their fill. Normal people wouldn't want to work in these types of jobs for 2 years. To saying nothing of an outstanding girl like Tang Ru. Come. You guys fight around. Chen Guo wouldn't let Yi Shu continue to ponder. After introducing the two, she went straight for the main subject. She looked as if she had waited all day and had to restrain herself from dragging Yi Shu out of bed. Fight? Yi Shu asked. Glory? Where else can you fight? Chen Guo said. Oh, you can play Glory? Yi Shu asked Tang Ru. No, I don't know how. Tang Ru smiled. Chen Guo heard this and was extremely unhappy. If you can't play, then what am I? You really can play. I'm just so that's all, Tang Ru said. How good is so? Yi Shu didn't understand. Don't listen to her modesty. She really can play. Chen Guo had already dragged the two to their stations. Little Tang, use my chasing haze, Chen Guo said and asked Yi Shu, and you? You reached level 20 yesterday night, right? What class did you change to? I still haven't changed, Yi Shu said. What, you're not going to change? I'm playing unspecialized, Yi Shu said. Unspecialized? Chen Guo was astonished. Even in her 5 years, the era of unspecialized characters was already long gone. She had only heard a few veterans bring it up and using their words, it was just a legend. How do you play as an unspecialized character? How are you going to level after 50? Chen Guo said. You couldn't before, but now you can, Yi Shu said. How are you going to level? Chen Guo asked. Heavenly Domain, Yi Shu said. Are you joking? Chen Guo said wide-eyed. Do you want to complete the Heavenly Domain challenges at level 50? I'm awesome, right? Awesome, my ass, Chen Guo said, a level 50 challenging the heavenly domain. Chen Guo tried to analyze how hard that would be. But after a while she hadn't gotten anywhere because it really was too difficult. She didn't even know where to start. If you want to see it, then please don't fire me, Yishu laughed. You're mad, Chen Guo concluded. Yishu laughed and logged into his account. I'm only level 21. I'll play against your level 70 in the fixed field. You want to use that lousy account? Chen Guo's eyes widened. Then what do I use? Yishu didn't understand. I'll borrow whatever class you want. This was also why Chen Guo asked what class Yishu changed to. Chen Guo had many frequent customers, so she was certain she could borrow an account to temporarily use. Unspecialized. Get lost. Tang Ru looked at these two, quite interested. She discovered that he was just like how everyone described. This person was really good at making Chen Guo angry. We can just casually fight one round. There's no need to be so serious, Tang Ru said. Exactly, Yishu agreed. How are a level 21 and a level 70 going to fight? Chen Guo said. Fixed field, Yishu said. Chen Guo was speechless. Fixed field was for practice. Victory or defeat wouldn't be recorded. In fixed field, the system would fix all attributes and equipment. After being fixed, it didn't matter if it was a level 21 and a level 70 character, their attributes would be the same. But even if the attributes were fixed, the difference in the amount of skills they had couldn't be amended. A level 21 character definitely wouldn't have skills that could be learned after level 20. This couldn't be fixed. Even if a level 21 and a level 70 fought in the fixed field, the level 21 would still be at a disadvantage. You forgot. I'm unspecialized. Level 20 and level 70 doesn't matter, Yishu said. Chen Guo finally understood. Right. If it was an unspecialized character, level didn't matter, because unspecialized characters couldn't learn level 20 and above skills. Chapter 48, Countless Variations. Okay, today I'll open my eyes and see this so-called unspecialized character, Chen Guo said. From when she started playing Glory, unspecialized characters had already become extinct. Make a room, okay, pick that map, right, the smallest one. Chen Guo stood behind Tang Ru pointing. Glory's arena was a joint server. After joining the arena, a player could duel others from different servers. The character would have the server number next to the name. This way, even those with the same name could be differentiated by servers. Invite him. Lord Grimm. Right, those two words, Chen Guo said. Tang Ru sent the invite and the system prompted, the player you have invited is not in the arena. What are you doing? Hurry up, Chen Guo yelled. Wait a bit, let me use my skill points. Lord Grimm had leveled up last night. Leveling, clearing dungeons, quests, he had accumulated quite a few skill points and hadn't had the time to use them yet. So slow, Chen Guo mumbled to herself. Although she was worried, Tang Ru, on the other hand, was calm and unhurried. Looking at Chasing Haze's equipment, have you recently gotten any good equipment? Although she didn't play, her knowledge of Chasing Haze wasn't lower than Chen Guo's. After all, Chen Guo loved to talk about it. No, how could it be so easy? While Chen Guo replied, she impatiently looked towards Yishu, but saw that guy sneakily waving his hands at her, hinting her to come over. What are you doing? Chen Guo muttered to herself as she walked over. To specially want me and her to battle around, you don't have any particular reason, do you? Yishu asked in a low voice. What do you think? I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. You don't need me to let her win, right? Yishu said. Say it after you've beaten her, Chen Guo said. Okay, Yishu nodded his head and let Lord Grimm enter the arena, ready. Tang Ru invited and Yishu accepted. Chen Guo ran back to behind Tang Ru. Yishu, however, wasn't in a rush. He stretched out his neck and asked, just fight like this? Do you want to do a little betting? What betting? Chen Guo didn't understand. For example, a cigarette pack, Yishu suggested. Chen Guo almost died from anger. Right when she was about to roar, Tang Ru said happily, okay. I can't smoke and I don't have any cigarettes either. Let's bet 100 yuan, what do you think? Okay, Yishu gladly agreed. Then I'll testify. Here's 100 yuan. Tang Ru took out 100 yuan and gave it to Chen Guo. Do you both agree? Chen Guo was flabbergasted. It's just for fun, Tang Ru laughed. Okay, Chen Guo delightedly took Tang Ru's 100 yuan, and you? Oh, that's nothing, I have here a rare cigarette box. You've gone mad from poverty, haven't you? Chen Guo really was happy and laughed. She took out 100 yuan and waved it in front of him. I'll let you borrow this. I'll deduct it from your salary. Okay. I'll return it right away, Yishu said. How confident. We're starting, Tang Ru said. Start. The scene changed and the two entered the arena. The map was the smallest stage. The opponents stood on opposite sides. Chen Guo served as the coach outside of the stage. He still hasn't changed classes. This is called an unspecialized character. He'll have many skill variations. By looking at his weapon, you can figure out which class's skill he's going to use. Oh, Tang Ru replied. Although she hadn't officially played Glory for over a year, she had played many rounds of PK for Chen Guo. She knew of all of the different classes. Then what is the weapon in his hand called? Tang Ru pointed to the screen. This, Chen Guo looked for a long time, but couldn't recognize it. She directly asked, what's the weapon in your hand? Shameless, Yishu, you have to ask. It looks like an umbrella. Tang Ru let Chasing Haze walk forward a few steps and zoomed in. Umbrella. There's no such weapon. It's gotta be a broom, right? Chen Guo also leaned forward to look. I'm coming. While Yishu said this, he let Lord Grimm run forward in a straight line towards Chasing Haze. Tang Ru really did react fast. When Lord Grimm moved, she had already moved her mouse in an instant and shot accurately. But in a blur, Lord Grimm flickered and avoided the shot. Chen Guo, who was watching on the side, knew that this move was called Z-Shake. The principle was simple, but was extremely difficult to pull off in an actual battle. After dodging the shot, Lord Grimm closed the distance. He lowered his body and slide kicked towards Chasing Haze. How crafty. Chen Guo was deeply moved. Although slide kick was a gunner skill, it was a body skill, so the weapon didn't matter. This attack still didn't reveal what thing he was holding onto. Sure enough, Tang Ru's hand speed didn't disappoint Chen Guo's expectations. Before the slide kick hit, Chasing Haze had already rolled out of the way. She quickly got up and prepared to use a body skill to hit back. Her dodge, move, and attacks were all performed extremely quickly. Who knew that the screen would suddenly flash with a shining white light? Lord Grimm's right hand took out a sharp sword from that unknown weapon in his left hand. This shining light wasn't merely as simple as pulling out a weapon. This was the Blade Master skill, Sword Draw. This attack surprised Chen Guo. Even if she wanted to switch actions, she was afraid that her reaction speed was too slow. Unlike her, Tang Ru's left hand had already tapped the keyboard twice. Her right hand pushed the mouse. Chasing Haze leapt backwards and prepared to fire another shot. This move dodged the sword draw attack and returned fire. After the shot launched, using the recoil, she flew backwards to increase their distance. This was practically killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Right when Chen Guo wanted to yell out good, she didn't think that after Lord Grimm used sword draw, his sword had already returned to the sheath. He seized the opportunity to chain sword, belt, sheath, and chased after the mid-air Chasing Haze. At this moment, he had already closed in. This change was even quicker. Chen Guo couldn't figure out which Blade Master attack used a sheath to smash. But she felt that there was still a bit of distance between Chasing Haze and Lord Grimm. Then, the umbrella-like thing in Lord Grimm's hands opened up. In an instant, the umbrella flipped and the umbrella bones turned upside down. They concentrated on the tip as if it were a lance and then stabbed towards Chasing Haze. Immediately following, Lord Grimm flipped the handle. This lance drew a semicircle bringing Chasing Haze along with it and flipped her upside down, her head down and feet up. Chen Guo was shocked because this wasn't any ordinary attack. This was a skill called Circle Swing, a battle mage skill. This wasn't a rare skill among unspecialized characters, but the problem was that Lord Grimm had used that thing to execute sword draw, so it should be a swordsman-class weapon. How could it suddenly turn into a battle mage lance in the blink of an eye? Tang Ru was more stunned by his technique. After fighting for a bit, she was actually slower by a level. This was something she hadn't expected. Due to Glory being a first-person perspective game, this type of skill like circle swing was relatively strong. Having the sky and earth flipping upside down in an instant destroyed people's sense of direction, making the victim feel vexed. Chen Guo could be considered an experienced veteran, so she wouldn't go so far as to become confused. But Tang Ru only played occasionally. Although she had extremely high hand speed to carry her, this type of sudden viewpoint change was too much for her. She hastily figured out the direction and twisted her body. But unexpectedly, Chasing Haze was unable to turn over her body. Her character raised her head to look. One of Lord Grimm's feet had stepped on her, while the other was on the ground. That thing in his hand had returned back to its original shape. This time, it looked like a close-range pose. Chen Guo and Tang Ru finally saw that it really was an umbrella and that the umbrella's tip was aimed at Chasing Haze's head. The two still hadn't recovered from the shock when the umbrella tip unleashed a tongue of flame. Pung pung pung, a string of gun sounds hit the down Chasing Haze. Chapter 49, You Really Don't Know How to Play. Minnesota, what is that thing? Chen Guo was dumbstruck. The weapon in Lord Grimm's hands was a trinity. Sword, lance, gun. A transforming weapon? Compared to Chen Guo, Tang Ru, who didn't know much about Glory, wasn't too scared by it. Her fingers quickly jumped and Chasing Haze did a roundhouse kick. After Lord Grimm leapt to avoid it, Chasing Haze raised her hands and used an anti-tank missile. Tang Ru acted quickly. The skill itself also launched quickly. The distance was close and Lord Grimm took the explosion head-on and turned into a cloud of smoke. Tang Ru and Chen Guo were both startled. In the fixed field, players couldn't be killed like this in an instant. Even if they were, the dead player would leave a corpse. How could he just turn into a cloud of smoke? Not good. By the time Tang Ru realized it, it was already too late. With a pung, blood blossomed out from Chasing Haze's neck. Assassin skill, Cutthroat. This skill had to be used from behind the target. Adding onto the armor ignoring back attack, even though it was a low-leveled skill, it still did considerable damage. As for that Lord Grimm, who had been turned into smoke by the anti-tank missile, the two both understood too late that it was the ninja skill Shadow Clone technique. After dodging her roundhouse kick, he used the skill. He left the clone in front of her, while his real body split to behind her body, completing the cutthroat. Tang Ru, who had suffered from attacks multiple times, now had a look of extreme concentration on her. After a series of tapping sounds, Chasing Haze flew through the blood blossom like an arrow. She completed a 180-degree turn in midair not even half a meter above the ground, showing her exceptionally quick technique. Her mouse quickly moved looking for a target to fire at. But when her character turned, she only saw a swordlight chopping down towards her, bringing along a bloody mist. Swordsman class Berserker skill, Collapsing Mountain. Although the skills learned by unspecialized characters didn't have the damage bonuses given if they were done by the skill's original class, the original effects wouldn't change. Collapsing Mountain chopped down towards Chasing Haze. After hitting the ground, there was a short knock-up effect. Lord Grimm quickly seized the opportunity and kneed her, smashing Chasing Haze higher into the air. With a shake of the myriad manifestation umbrella, the mid-air Chasing Haze was gunned down repeatedly. Chen Guo and Tang Ru were beyond familiar with this skill. This was a launcher skill, Barbecue. After Chasing Haze, who had just been barbecued by gunfire, fell to the ground, she immediately turned over to fight again. But when her character turned around a circle, she couldn't find Lord Grimm's figure. Instead, she saw a green goblin swaying around throwing rocks at her. Tang Ru and Chen Guo both collapsed. This was a mage-class summoner's summon pet. Raising her hands, she bombarded the goblin, when Lord Grimm suddenly dropped from the sky stepping on top of Chasing Haze's head. Fighter-class striker skill, Eagle Stamp. Tang Ru no longer had that previous just-for-fun attitude. After being stepped on, Chasing Haze pointed her gun up towards the sky, ready to gun him down. But to her surprise, Lord Grim's umbrella tip once again aimed at her. A flame tongue shot out and more blood blossomed out from Chasing Haze's head. Lord Grim used the recoil of this gun and easily flew backwards with aerial fire. Close combat was disadvantageous towards launchers. Tang Ru had wanted to use aerial fire the entire time to pull apart the distance, but this time, the opponent unexpectedly took the initiative to distance himself. After being hit multiple times, Chasing Haze didn't have much life left. Yet Lord Grim didn't even seem like he had been touched. Tang Ru hadn't given up hope and prepared to continue attacking him, when Yishu said, "How about we stop fighting?" "Why?" Tang Ru asked. "It turns out you really don't know how to play," Yishu said. Tang Ru didn't know what to say. Aside from Chen Guo enthusiastically explaining to her a few things, she really didn't know much else. But even like this, just relying on her high hand speed, she helped Chen Guo defeat opponents Chen Guo couldn't win against. She had even completed the Heavenly Domain skill challenge that was difficult for the majority of the players. Tang Ru could say that she didn't know glory, but she was still extremely strong. This was why Chen Guo wanted to bring her into the game by every means possible. But it was also why she wasn't interested in the game. A lot of people did things because they found it easy. Tang Ru was different. She couldn't concentrate on things that she found easy. The tormented Chen Guo also saw this. This was an extremely competitive girl. Once she found something difficult, without anyone's encouragement, she wouldn't stop until she overcame it. For example, when she attacked at Chasing Haze's Heavenly Domain skill challenge, Tang Ru also failed many times before succeeding. In that short amount of time, the amount of drive she had looked 100 times greater than Chen Guo's love for glory. Chen Guo thought that this time, Tang Ru was moved. But who knew that after the skill challenge, Tang Ru quickly lost interest in glory. Clearing for equipment and so on, Tang Ru didn't take this type of item hoarding seriously. In the end, Tang Ru saw glory as being, so it was that easy. In order to arouse her interest, her impression of the game had to change. This was why Chen Guo kept on looking for opponents that Tang Ru couldn't beat to make her realize the difficulty of the game. But this actually made it worse. Every time Tang Ru met a so-called expert in the arena, she would quickly beat him. That sort of celebrity names, those professional gamers, Chen Guo didn't know how many times she explained them to Tang Ru. But Tang Ru only laughed, not believing her. No choice. Facts spoke louder than words. But where would Chen Guo find such an expert? Up until Tang Ru returned, Chen Guo kept on thinking of letting Yishu try her out. Chen Guo didn't know exactly how strong Yishu was. However, he had once been in the professional circle, so he had to be stronger than normal players. At worst, Tang Ru would just say, "So it was that easy," again. This was Chen Guo's original intention. But every time she came into contact with Yishu, he would always make her mad. Angrily, Chen Guo forgot her original notion and stood behind Tang Ru, hoping for Tang Ru to tyrannically destroy Yishu to vent her anger. But in the end, Tang Ru was beaten without a chance to retaliate. Only after Yishu said, "Don't know how to play," did she finally remember. Don't know how to play? Chen Guo felt this remark was a little too excessive. If that was considered as not knowing how to play, then what about all of those opponents Tang Ru had beaten? Furthermore, wasn't this guy too strong? He had completely suppressed Tang Ru from start to finish. A player from the professional circle really was on a different level. Ordinarily, when she watched recordings of competitions, it didn't feel like they were that op. It seemed like it was still the problem of opponents. Pro gamer versus pro gamer were all evenly matched opponents, so it didn't look any different from when normal players fought. Yishu, who sat nearby, had already stood up. He nodded his head and said, "Your technique is quite quick, but the coordination between your left and right hands is a complete mess. When your viewpoint suddenly changes, your adaptability and judgment pretty much turns to zero. Your understanding towards equipment and skills isn't nearly enough. Your real combat experience is too little and your tactics are too stiff. How could this be considered playing? If you want to beat me with this skill, then come back in 100 years. Chapter 50, again. Hey, you're going too far. Chen Guo was a bit angry. Although she really had looked for someone to irritate Tang Ru, she didn't actually think Yishu wouldn't say a single good point about her. Did he really need to go so far? Oh, I'm sorry, Yishu said, I was a little excessive. The 100 years part is only an exaggeration. You don't actually need that long. Hearing the first half, Chen Guo was astonished that this guy actually admitted his error. But after hearing the last half, she became so furious that her nose almost went crooked. You just can't say anything good. While Chen Guo said this, she glanced at Tang Ru. She had pushed it too far. She had always wanted to irritate this little sister once, but now that she had done it, she was afraid that she had gone too far. Her technique was quite quick. I said that, Yishu said. What else? Chen Guo said. What else? Yishu thought hard. His sight shifted to a different place. She's very pretty. Chen Guo coughed blood. He's praising her, right? He's praising her, right? But the problem was that they were discussing the game. He said, she's very pretty, but didn't that still mean that there wasn't a single good point about her playing? Tang Ru's going to be angry. She's going to be angry. Chen Guo lowered her head and looked. Tang Ru was biting her lips. Her right hand was still tightly gripping the mouse. If she were Chen Guo, then she would have already grabbed the keyboard and started smashing him with it. But after all, Tang Ru wasn't her. She only coldly said, say it after we've finished fighting. There's no need. I was going leniently before. If not, then after the eagle stamp, I would have used falling light blade, sky strike, swept the floor, dragon tooth, falling flower palm, and then you'd be dead, Yishu said. Then why didn't you continue? Tang Ru asked. If I did that, then I'd have won and taken your 100 yuan. But you really don't know how to play, so that would be too unfair. I'd be too embarrassed to take your 100 yuan. Forget about it, Yishu said and then faced Chen Guo. Boss, that 100 yuan is mine. You can deduct that from my salary. You already agreed. Chen Guo was so angry, she almost died. Taking that 100 yuan, she crumpled it into a ball and threw it. Take it. Thanks, Yishu immediately caught it. He wasn't actually penniless. But cigarettes were like food and had to be consumed. From a long-term standpoint, he had to be prepared. If I lost, I lost. You don't need to pass on it. You take this 100 yuan. Tang Ru stood up. She took that 100 yuan she bet and handed it over. Forget about it. I'd really be too embarrassed to take it, Yishu said. Take it, Chen Guo glared at Yishu. She knew of Tang Ru's temper. This girl was eager and serious. If Yishu insisted on not accepting the money, then things wouldn't end well. She was now afraid that Yishu was also a guy who would bash his head against a brick wall. If he didn't take the money no matter what, then what should she do? But in the end, she heard Yishu say, then give it to boss. I owe her money. B** starred. Kicking the ball to me. Chen Guo was furious, but Tang Ru had different intentions. Tang Ru didn't want to anger Chen Guo, so she took the money to her, then his debt is clear now. Let's fight another round. Tang Ru threw this at him and sat down. Chen Guo could only feel as if her cheeks streamed with tears. This was Tang Ru. She wasn't like Chen Guo, and wouldn't start yelling and strangling the other person. She was a firm believer that facts spoke louder than words and would only use her strength to make you speechless. Due to the practice nature of the fixed field, there was no victory or defeat counter. The player was also free to enter or exit whenever they wanted to. After Tang Ru sat down, she directly selected the again option. Without waiting for Yishu to speak, she pulled out another 100 yuan and put it on the table. It's still one round, 100. Although I don't really know how to play, I hope you'll treat this seriously. Yishu turned around towards Chen Guo. Chen Guo spread out her hands, meaning that she didn't care. You fix your own problems. Okay, Yishu also didn't say too much and silently sat down. The new round started. Chen Guo still stood behind Tang Ru, but this time she only quietly watched without saying anything. She also wouldn't fuss too much about nothing. The situation was the same as the previous round. Chasing Haze still lost without even touching Lord Grimm's clothing. The only difference this time was Lord Grimm didn't show any more mercy. He directly depleted Chasing Haze's life. Again, Tang Ru without saying anything further. She pulled out another 100 yuan and slapped it down. She chose the again option. Still lost. Again. Another loss. Again. Another loss. Yi Shu didn't say another word. Chen Guo looked again at Yi Shu's expression. She only saw that Lord Grimm truly didn't show the slightest amount of mercy. Concentrated and cautious, he didn't let a single opportunity go. Vicious and merciless. Many internet cafe guests gradually noticed this competition. A few frequent customers had already left their stations and gathered to watch the scene. Most of the frequent customers recognized Tang Ru. To many, this beauty was their dream girlfriend. As a result, many knew that Tang Ru didn't play glory, but her PK skill wasn't low. Now that they saw her repeatedly slapping down one bill after another, all of them were dumbstruck. As for her opponent, he had only arrived 2 days ago and did a night shift, so frequent customers didn't immediately recognize him. Only after seeing the battle, people behind Tang Ru exclaimed in awe, "Lord Grimm, that's the 10th server's Lord Grimm." Really? Where? This short remark startled many people. Quite a few customers who heard this came over to join the crowd. Tang Ru and Yi Shu weren't disturbed by this. They continued to meticulously battle. When Chen Guo saw these people's reactions towards Lord Grimm, she was astonished. She seized a person watching. Who's Lord Grimm? The 10th server's most popular character. 3 first clears in Beginner Village. Frost Forest's current clear record holder and has already joined Blue Brook Guild. No. I know people from Blue Brook Guild. After Lord Grimm helped them set a new record, he left the guild. D** Minnesota, he doesn't even see Blue Brook Guild in his eyes. What does he want to do? Hey, quiet down. He's right there. What? Which one? This crowd that didn't know the facts clearly hadn't realized that the person Tang Ru was betting money with was sitting directly across from her. Wow, lost again. What round is this? I don't know. When I came, it had already started. There's 500 on the table, right? Yeah. Wow, another bill. Sis Tang, go. Just like this, Tang Ru lost 10 rounds in a row. In those 10 rounds, it couldn't be said that Lord Grimm's clothing hadn't been touched once, but in the spectators' eyes, they didn't see a single chance of her winning. The previous cheering sounds had already turned to comforting. There were also a few people who started despising Lord Grimm for not having tender, more protective feelings towards girls. Again, Tang Ru remained unmoved. She yelled it again. But after she pulled out her purse, she could only stare blankly. She couldn't fight another round, because she had no money.